Nos van a atacar ahora. They're all getting together. Las cunas.
Y Ana, ¿tú le mandaste a Ana Ramón de la agenda?
All right, gavel.
All right, so we're going to be calling the meeting to order. The time is 6:06. This is the Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting on Wednesday, April 5th. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll have Christina start us off. Let her break the ice.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item, Madam Clerk.
Roll call, Ivan Chavez Jr., Commissioner.
Here.
Committee Chair present, Miguel Casanova.
Here.
Ivan Chavez Sr.,
Present.
Alexander Diaz.
Here.
Zachariah Evangelista.
Here.
Marcos Lopez.
Here.
Cristina Barona. Here. You have quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Next item.
Item 4, approval of minutes for February 15, 2023, Recreation Advisory Board meeting.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Next item, please.
Okay,
all-
all
Do
business.
we have to do all in favor?
All
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Have the same
All right,
right.
so approved unanimously. Next item.
Item 5, all business, none. Item 6, new business. Item 6A, update on LWCF DEP FERDAP grant. That'll be by the city manager.
Thank you. I have unfortunate news that the commission knows because of all the correspondence that we have had. But even this evening, we're going to formally report that we will have to withdraw our application from, for the $200,000 that had a match from the city of West Miami with the FERDAP grant. Our projects got delayed because of COVID. The award happened right during COVID. And so we had a tough time trying to get contractors to express an interest at least.
Which
and
project
bid.
is that?
I'm sorry?
Which project is it?
That is the resurfacing of the tennis courts, which we had in there. The bathrooms that were attached to the wellness center. And the
Playground.
barbecue and playground equipment we did accomplish. And that's probably not going to be reimbursed by the grant. The city spent $86,000 and change. We are going to try to get the grant reimbursed at 50%. However, I am inclined to believe that they are simply going to accept a withdrawal from us so it doesn't hurt our future plans to reapply. And as soon as August of this year, they will announce their new funding cycle. And the reason why I have not sent out the letter is I felt that we owed you, the board, the courtesy, and the commission, the courtesy of knowing the reasons why we felt we could not meet the April 30th deadline. In the beginning, we were dealing with a June 30th deadline, which is what the contract says. It says an expiration. However, the fine print of a contract, as you well know, told us differently, basically said that all the work had to be concluded by April 30th. So we attempted, I know Juan Aneri did, publications, we went out to bid and everything. We actually asked the commission to convene in a special setting to award the bid. But in conversation with the state, they said we were really cutting it close, and if there were any discrepancies with the paperwork, we would not have the time to correct it. So in an overabundance of caution, as our city attorney said, I recommended to the mayor and to the chairman that we move on, we withdraw, we learn a lesson that we need to start earlier. And unfortunately, the issue with the pandemic was a monkey wrench that we just could not overcome those deficits.
So all of this was started back when the pandemic was going on?
It was before the pandemic. It started before the pandemic. Remember that we put in our ask, like whatever we have that the commission is carrying right now to Tallahassee and the federal government for funding, if and when it's funded, it goes into a new budget cycle. So you're asking in advance, you're not asking for now. So in 2019, we put in the ask. Obviously, 2020 was the year of COVID, and 2021, we had 2 full years of operating at a bare minimum. We had closures at City Hall, we had park closure on numerous occasions, due to employee and situations where people were ill with COVID. And the same happened here with the city. I mean, I had COVID twice. And so anytime we had a situation, we had to take sanitary measures, call in a professional company. All these delays backed up not only that one grant, other projects that were in the pipeline. And so, in terms of staff, you're looking at, with the exception of the finance director who's not here, she doesn't attend the meetings, but you're looking at a party of 4 here. It's the clerk, the director of public works, myself, and the finance director. So it's very difficult, once these projects start to fall behind, to try to hurry up and get it to the goal line. This is the first time in my 40 years with the city that this has happened. So unfortunately so, I think the chairman may have other plans on how we can address these projects.
If I may,
Absolutely.
So-
So that concludes my report.
thank you, Madam Manager. So with that being said, in that special meeting that the manager referenced, we did vote to approve it. The FERDAP grant gives us 200 grand that we match with another 200 grand from reserves, which will give us a total of 400,000. That was gonna give us the playground that was already updated, the tennis court resurfacing, and then the lights for the baseball field. So that actually was gonna come out to about 430,000. So we actually voted to go above and beyond the 400 that we initially thought we were gonna spend. But then now that the FERDAP grant fell through, I'll break down the different bids that we got, right? So the lights, the bid was 258,000 roughly. The tennis courts was 94,000. So at the moment, if you take the FERDAP grant out of the picture, we were gonna spend 200,000 from reserves regardless. So at the moment, we spent about 90,000 with the playground. So we have 110,000 left. So obviously, the lights, unfortunately, we won't be able to do at the moment, but I do still want to move forward with the tennis courts, send that out to bid again. The bid that we got was 94,000, we have 110,000 to play with. Send it out to bid again now without the FERDAP grant limitations and the time frame that we have to meet, and see where we go from there. But unfortunately, when it comes,
It doesn't have to go out to bid again.
it doesn't have to go out to bid? Okay,
No, it's still a good bid,
okay. Well, no, I think that,
but it's not tennis resurfacing, it's tennis court and
Pickleball.
pickleball.
and pickleball as well. I think the conversation of sending it out to bid again was due to the rush that we were in, that we didn't, I guess, take more time to receive more bids.
Listen, I put that project out to bid 3 times. This is the only time we've gotten interest.
Okay, so I'll report on it tonight and see what the commission wants to do, but if that's okay with you guys, we did. Go ahead.
When did you receive the response to the bids?
The last time we received it, we had a special meeting sometime early March,
Yes, and actually was approved
February.
by the commission.
February, I'm sorry.
The last
The
bid
project
was
was
from February.
So those prices are relatively.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that price was approved by the commission under the FERDAP grant, right? So now that fell through, we can no longer do the lights, but I still would like to go forward with the tennis court / pickleball resurfacing. But I wanted to bring it back to you guys as well to get your buy-in and see what your input is.
Can I ask about, you mentioned when you ran through the list of bathrooms
Yeah.
attached to the wellness center? What's-
Yes. Okay, so those projects now are being accomplished with reserve dollars. Okay?
So
The
that's-
same money, I'm sorry, with impact fee
Rec
money.
impact fee.
Impact fee money. The reserve dollars, if the commission decides to approve it with a recommendation that they're going to weigh in on from the committee, then this portion of the work will have to be accomplished with reserve dollars.
Where's the bathroom? Where they go?
The bathroom is attached to the wellness center.
Oh, the new building they built?
Right.
Yes.
Oh,
Because
okay.
Yes.
initially, when the deadline was June 30th, we figured that we'd have time to accomplish to finish the bathrooms under FERDAP. When they moved it to April 30th, that was no longer gonna be the case, so then we dipped into the rec impact fees for that.
Right.
And then now FERDAP moved over to the other projects, which now that we have no FERDAP, now we're dropping into.
So we lost
essentially-
all the further money.
We lost the two
We
hundred
lost
thousand
two
for
hundred
that.
We
thousand.
can't even use any of that money for the tennis court? That might be done on time or not?
The match,
The match, yes.
the match is what he's,
No, I
You
think
know,
he's saying
talking-
that maybe the tennis courts would be able to be done in time before the deadline, but it's no
No.
longer, it's no longer a
We
deadline
can't.
issue, it's
It-
the
it-
application is just.
just basically the contracts officer there, Christina Omran, at the Department of Environmental Protection, has put in writing that our best bet would be to withdraw at this time because they,
So we don't look
so
deficient
that
in
we
future
don't
projects.
look deficient. If there's any deficiencies in the
Yeah, I understand.
process, they won't penalize us. It's, the best thing to do is, let's move on from this grant. They're gonna have recaptured money. We are not the only city. As I understand it, there are numerous, more than ever, cities in the state of Florida, even those that were impacted by Ian, that have not been able to complete their project. So they're pulling back.
Okay,
So there's gonna be new money and recaptured money.
just because my brain is now catching up. See if I got this right.
Must be the backpack.
Yeah.
No, it was that Easter egg.
So
hunt
initially,
I got to you.
initially it was gonna be 400,000, half of it was gonna be FERDAP, that's gone. But we'd committed to spending 200
200 from
from our-
impact fees. Impact fees was the
impact or
match.
reserves.
From the-
Impact fees.
From impact fees.
Impact fees,
We've already spent 80 or 90 for the
Right.
playground,
right,
so we still have the 110 that we committed to spending anyway,
Right.
right? Not affected by FERDAP really.
right.
So that, we're gonna use that money for the tennis court slash pickleball resurfacing.
If the
We
board
could,
agrees.
if the
If we-
committee
yeah, yeah,
agrees,
potentially.
And the
and
commission
if
did
you
it.
submit a favorable recommendation to the
Right,
commission.
potentially.
And is that enough for the,
Yeah, the bid was 94,000, so we're
94,000.
still,
And then the bathrooms
would be separate?
The bathrooms
Are
are being
falling
now funded,
by impact.
the whole wellness center, the shell,
Mm-hmm.
and the bathroom, and the wellness center are now being funded by impact fees, 100%.
Yeah.
And that'll wipe out our impact fee account.
And that's moving along,
Well, this
no
is
issues.
also the wellness center.
This is also the wellness center.
Well,
impact
wellness in the
fee.
bathrooms,
Yeah.
impact fees.
And then with-
And there's no way to apply for FERDAP after the fact?
Yes, August 12th, on or about August 12th of each year through September 12th, we will have the new funding cycle commencing, and we'll be able to reapply for.
With the project that we've already completed?
No,
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 that'd be
no.
separate.
no.
That-
For
It would
the lighting of the.
We could
of
do the
field.
lighting,
Yeah.
and now you can have a more aggressive.
What is,
Aggressive.
what is the estimate price for the lights?
258.
258 was the option one, which was
Right.
a change out of the bulbs and,
No, change out all the fixtures,
just not
The
changing
pictures?
poles.
2 lower
and-
poles, and a new panel.
and a new panel, correct.
And
So-
everything on the ground.
It had several, the bid had, I believe, 3 options, Annette,
Up
about
to like 300 or something.
Yeah, because
up
the
to
other
like
one.
300 and some
The
odd
second
thousand.
option was changing all the poles
Yeah.
to new poles.
Which is just aesthetic, right?
And then the third option was to, the starter to be remote.
Okay.
So the commission does see the importance of the lights, hence why we were gonna go above the 400, we were gonna go up to 430 to make sure that we accomplish that as well, but that's gonna have to be in the next grant cycle.
Right.
But the
exactly.
question I have now, we're using all the money, all the impact fee money will be gone, we have no money. So if
Correct.
we apply for that for $100,000 from the grant, we're not gonna have another $100,000 to match up that grant to be able to do the lights.
No, this
This
would
one
not
is
have,
reserved.
No, you're
this
saying
one
for
is
the next-
reserved.
For the next,
For the next cycle?
For the
We-
next,
now forget it,
next
now we
budget
know it-
cycle,
Yes.
It would have to come out of reserves.
it has,
Well-
the match has to come out of reserve.
Do we have enough money to reserve to be
We
able to get
have
$100,000?
unaudited, I believe that we're gonna be very close to, the auditors have not submitted their report yet. And there's a lot of, not only our numbers go in there, is certain depreciation that they put into infrastructure, the building, this, that. And I think at the end of the day, we're gonna be very close to $500,000.
Okay, but the other question now, this is going for next year's budget.
Right.
If it's approved, might not be approved. But let's say it's approved, that will be another year.
Another-
After that, before the lights are
If it's
replaced.
approved,
So we're
you're
talking at
talking
least
about
2 years, at least 2 years before we get the
July
lights.
1,
Yeah, they give you 2
2024.
years to do the project.
Yeah, but it will be at least 2 years before
Right,
we
right,
do
right.
the project. It's not gonna be done next month.
No, 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 no. It's gonna be a year before you get funded from this
If
July.
we get it, if we get it,
If you get funded,
if we get funded.
exactly. A year, and
So
then
if-
obviously start to work on the commencement
If we don't get
package.
funded, what do we have in hand? What are we planning to do? Just leave it the way they are now, the lights?
I mean, we're gonna have to revisit that if that doesn't get funded when the time
budget
comes,
time.
cause, yeah, at the moment, we're gonna assume that it's gonna get funded and we're gonna hope for that, but we can't make
Right.
that decision right now.
And just like we put in capital improvement money to fund for the new equipment that you've been talking about for the wellness center, we can address for next year some money for the lights as a set aside. Little by little, we start putting into capital upgrades.
Yeah, we're gonna
We-
do like separate portions of it, like the panel, the underground, and then leave the actual light fixtures for the FERDAP.
Right.
Yeah, cause, I mean, right now, we just don't have the funding to do the lights, it's 258,000 and we have
The
110,000
reason,
left.
it's just
so-
not the lights in the field, but the lights in the tennis court and basketball, those lights are very old.
Yeah,
They're not gonna fall
They all
apart.
need to be updated, yeah.
I mean, they're just hanging by a thread.
T-ball lights are on 24/7 right now.
I know, now they are 24/7. I don't know why they are on all the time.
Why is that?
The what? The
The
T-ball?
T-ball
The,
lights.
the backfield, the lights on,
Did you know
they've been
that?
on for weeks.
The button is broken. They've ordered it, the guy's coming to replace it, but
But in that special meeting, we spoke, John Michael, Frankie, Mr. Grana, we all spoke and we agreed that the lights are important and they need to be fixed. They haven't
Very
been
important.
fixed since the 80s, right? Something like,
They
it's
were
been a long,
installed in the
they were installed in the 80s, so it's long overdue and we wanna focus on getting those, but we're gonna have to wait till the next grant cycle and hope that we get it. And if we don't, then we'll revisit that then.
If you resurface the tennis courts, after you resurface, if you get the money for the lights, you have to still again be under the courts again?
No,
No? You can do everything outside?
Yeah, because the poles don't change.
yeah. Tennis court
Now
and
the new
basketball.
poles are smaller and more compact.
Right, but the poles don't
They're
change.
gonna change.
And, does it make sense to still move forward with the tennis courts? If that's our last $100,000, essentially?
I mean, it was money that we were
Money
gonna,
that's already
It
allocated.
was
Yeah.
already allocated for that.
it's already allocated and
It was part of the match.
it's bringing another amenity to the city that people are gonna enjoy, so.
And the pickleball, which is so popular right now, I think that the city can also capitalize on getting a little bit of revenue as well. I mean, you know, not everything can be for free. I think this is an opportunity where people from the outside can also pay for the use of those courts. And it'll generate revenue that will help us establish a fund to, you know, rehab these courts as we move forward.
I like the idea of moving forward with it because, like somebody said, the citizens get to see some progress. You don't know what unforeseen things around the corner is gonna suck that 110,000 and make it disappear. And I think we're kinda expected to get some stuff done.
Yeah, we're hitting a
While we're
speed
doing
bump,
this
but
stuff.
we have some good momentum going with the health, with the gym that's being built. Pickleball courts will continue to add to that momentum, and then going into next year, get great news with the next grant cycle and keep building forward, you know, so.
And this isn't gonna affect the FERDAP, request that we put in a
Then,
couple months, for the like,
For the new cycle?
No, for the last cycle,
Cooper
for
Park
Cooper
with the
Park.
No,
outside
no,
equipment.
no.
Cooper Park wasn't a match, it was,
It was a
It
straight
was-
grant.
It was
yeah.
under 50,000.
Okay.
50,000, those don't require match. And we can think about in August putting forth 2 grant applications, one for 50,000 to pay for a portion of the light work that needs to be done, or to resurface one of the courts as well. You know, as you start to add pickleball, if that is the desire of the committee and the commission, if you desire to do the conversion and stripe them both for dual use, you could do that with grant money from the state. Generally, they give us 50,000, we don't have to match it, and then we go for a large project, which requires a match. So we can
do
try 2
the lights
grants.
for the, like, if we do the tennis courts now, we could do the lights for pickleball as a 50,000 now match.
Exactly,
I think we need some Inter Miami or Miami Marlin sponsorship.
yeah,
That'd be nice.
that would be nice.
That'd be nice.
Maybe a joint venture, they split the cost of some lights or something,
So any
and put a logo
further,
wherever they want.
any further discussion on this item before we vote and see if we wanna move forward with it?
All I wanna say is about the lighting on the whole park, that's all I owe, and they cost a lot of money to the city. If you replace those lights, you'll be saving a lot of money.
We agree, we just don't have the
But
funding to do
why-
it right now.
Why the city's taking so long to replace, or something that's so important, you'll be saving money. The first time you flip that switch, I'm not talking about just the lights in the baseball, you're talking about the whole complex. Tennis court and the basketball. If you replace those lights right away, you'll be saving a lot of money. At least 50% of the electricity that you pay now. And that's, city have never looked into that. I don't know why.
Listen,
No,
it
that's
doesn't
not-
really show up that way. We replaced all the FPL lights throughout the city to LEDs,
And
and the
it
bill hasn't gone down.
No, the
The-
bill
the
hasn't
bill-
gone down because FPL got approved for another raise. And just when
Then-
we
then-
were getting
well,
ready to save money,
Then you're paying more.
they went to the
Then you
Florida
pay- then-
Public Service
then-
Commission
then
and now
you're
we're
gonna be paying more. But no,
Yeah.
those lights that replace the city, you can't compare those to those lights there. Those are 460 volts
Oh,
lights,
yeah, those
which you
are-
pull a lot
yeah.
of current.
True,
And they
true.
use a lot of, it's not 110 volt.
Yeah.
But
But let me be very frank with you.
You should do,
This
you should buy a company and do a what do you call that, a study on it.
An assessment.
And a study and see how much you're gonna save on those lights, if you replace those lights.
And maybe that could be
costs
part
money
of the
just for
bid
a study.
package.
I think
It
the
costs
bottom line
money.
is still, we don't have the money.
Exactly.
Listen,
shouldn't be $40,000
it's
to do
really
a study,
important
come
that
on.
the citizens
Really?
No, not the
know.
study, I'm saying to switch the lights out.
I know.
Well, I don't think, nobody disagrees. We all agree absolutely 100% that the lights need to be
absolutely.
fixed. But I think what I'm hearing is we don't have the money.
You know, I understand. we don't have
It's
money.
do this
We
or
can,
do
you
that, you know, and I
Like
don't.
a jacabon under the Christmas tree
I
this
am
year.
not a believer of depleting reserves, because if we have an emergency
Yeah,
situation,
I agree with you
you
100%.
don't have anywhere to draw from.
I agree with you 100%.
And this is the first time, the last 2 fiscal years is the first time in a very, very long time that the city has been able to build reserves to the level that we have now.
But I'm not sure that spending it on the tennis courts is a wise idea. I understand that it's gonna bring an additional stream of revenue, but what if tomorrow the lights stop working altogether? And then there goes baseball, there goes soccer, t-ball, all those things that we already
Well,
are
that's,
receiving
that-
revenue.
that's a good
from.
question. That's a good
That's
question.
a very good
What
point.
happens
Like
if
that,
the lights go out tomorrow?
We're gonna go
What
for
do we
a
do?
loan
Use
or
reserve money?
something?
Yeah, but the options
To
aren't,
send everybody home, I guess.
We can
choice is-
save
To
up.
be
No, no,
frank
that's-
with you,
250,
instead of
you
using
know.
reserve money at
No,
that
you
point
keep
in
repairing.
time, if I am the city
can't
manager,
repair.
if I am the manager sitting here recommending, we would have to go out and get a loan and repay it over a 5-year period of time.
but the thing is that with that
So that we
question,
don't deplete the reserves.
Because
the
every day
options
they get
aren't,
worse.
but the options aren't pickleball or lights. There's no option
No,
for
no,
lights,
no,
so.
but to not do it right now, you know, like to hold till we allocate more funds so that we can do the lights, because, I mean, like he's saying, it's a security thing. When the parents are walking around back there, the lights aren't working and someone trips and falls, we're always talking about liability. I mean, I think that
But
we're
the-
supposed to be
these-
somewhat liable.
But these lights have been up since the 80s. They do need to be repaired, but they've been up since the 80s. So to think that they're gonna go out now when we're trying to do pickleball courts, like, I get your concern, but
My question
the
would be,
votes were already.
for you, I see what you're saying is, let's take that 110, save it, accumulate more and buy the lights,
Yeah.
right? But
Makes them outright.
that 110 is impact fees.
No,
That's,
No?
that's
That's
reserved.
It's
Reserves.
reserved, okay. So there's money in the reserves, so what you're saying is let's take the complete amount out of the reserves and do the lights? Because it doesn't make sense just to save the
We're gonna
110 if
do it
it's
with,
coming from reserves anyway.
We're gonna do it for the courts. Like, we have courts right now, right? Like, yeah, we don't have the pickleball courts, right?
no.
But we have courts, right? And that's, how much more are we gonna rent the courts, cause they're pickleball courts,
Yeah.
versus how, like, you know, and if it's gonna jeopardize our current income, which is probably the greatest stream of income that's there right now, right? All the fields.
Alex, you know, you worked in the rec many
Yeah.
years ago,
No,
and John
now,
knows
now
it's,
way more than before. Like, I walk around the city every night, and I mean,
That's because of me, by the way.
yeah.
In case anybody-
But every night, I mean, there's cars up and down the street, and it's packed. I mean, whether it's soccer, baseball, t-ball, softball,
It is
like,
packed.
like it's slammed, and I just feel like it wouldn't be the smart, you know. I don't know how much attraction the pickleball or the tennis is gonna bring, but we're neglecting what we already have, you know.
so is it safe to say that we have a $350,000 proposition
Between the two, yes.
between the two?
What do you mean between the two?
Yeah, the pickleball court and the.
No, I think he's saying one or the other.
No, but
Yeah.
she's saying altogether.
Altogether, yeah, no, eventually the tennis courts have to, everything has to get done, you know, it's just a matter of
Just a
pecking
matter of
order.
time, yeah.
Well, but
So-
I think we all, well, I don't even say that, but I think the option of paying for both of them out of reserves and bringing our reserves down to like 200,000, I don't think nobody's comfortable with that.
No, that's not.
Okay,
So what you're saying in essence is, you'd rather spend another 100 or whatever it is to redo the lights as opposed to doing.
Or wait till we have that money, if we don't have that money right now, how
Or-
long?
Or not do either one.
Or, if the city wants to be very proactive about it, and I'm not one to recommend to the city to get into debt,
Yeah.
but I believe that with the kind of revenue we're seeing, in the recreation center and the kind of reserves we're establishing, and we gotta take into account a couple things. You need to man the operations of the wellness center coming up. We need to not only man it, but we need to man it 7 days a week. We have to have a minimum of 2 or 3 shifts. You have to have a maintenance person in there continuously. You can't have spills because somebody can come in, trip and fall. There's going to be a lot of operational expenses associated with the wellness center.
So make John
Okay.
Michael take out a personal
So-
loan.
So, another way to go, it may not be, as prudent as or frugal as I generally like to be with this, manning the city's coffers, but a loan, a capital improvement loan may be something that the city may consider, to be able to accomplish the goals that are being discussed here, and treat them with a sense of importance and the same urgency, if you would, so that we can continue to add to the amenities that the city provides to the residents. And get a loan, and if you pay it in 10 years, you're gonna pay maybe $35,000 a year, which is a lot less than depleting reserves. Okay, you pay $35,000 and whatever the going interest rate is.
Had you budget for the positions for the new?
The budget process hasn't started yet.
How much money more you talk about?
You're probably, with
For those
with
positions.
benefits.
You talk about 3 positions, 4 positions.
3 positions and a maintenance
That's 4
position
positions.
is gonna cost you $130,000.
Minimum.
Minimum,
Minimum. So where's
because
the money
you
coming
gotta,
from?
you
for
gotta
that?
factor, well, you have the money coming into the rec. So what is gonna happen is now you have, let's say $500,000 is our unaudited figure right now, okay, for the rec center. You're not gonna be able to save that much money, but now you have a nice pot that you have reserved, and you now have more operational expenses, and you'll be able to tuck away less money than we did this year. You understand?
Does the
So
city
your
have-
savings are still going to be there, and you're going to have smaller amounts of savings on a yearly basis. Because it is a fact, I mean, you can't build it and leave it empty, you have to, you gotta equip it, and you have to supervise it, and for more reasons than one, especially because of the liability that comes with having a wellness center.
Has the city started preparing projections for revenue yet, in terms of what it might be able to do?
No, not yet. We start during the month of May. Coming up.
And $500,000,
I mean, we,
That are gonna come-
sorry, we have a very good idea of what it's gonna cost us. We
No,
just
I
gotta
meant in
plug
terms
the
of
numbers
revenue.
in.
In terms
The revenue, no. On June 1st, the city will receive the estimates for the assessed values from the property appraiser's office. What we do is we estimate all of our other, categories and revenues from actual receipts as of mid-fiscal year, which is, March 30th.
But in terms of the wellness center,
The revenue
Yeah,
for the
how much
gym.
we-
Since we never have had it, we haven't even
You don't know.
gotten there yet. No.
Is there an existing loan, does the city have existing loans right now?
We have 2.
That we're paying back?
One for the building out back, public services, and one for the sanitation truck.
and the funds that are coming in, that's on a yearly basis, right?
The ad valorem taxes are on a yearly basis, those are recurring revenues.
So.
And that's the bulk
every-
of the money that comes into
Yeah.
the rec center.
So that's the $500,000 we're getting.
No,
No,
that,
for
the
the
$500,000 is the difference between the revenue and actual expenses.
Okay.
We have 500,000, which is an accumulated reserves over time, over
Okay.
the last few years.
Okay, over the last few
Yeah.
years. So every year, what are we looking at more or less?
Well,
That's-
we're gonna look at a lot less moving forward. You have 500 now.
Yeah.
Assuming that the auditors are not going to depreciate anything further or make significant changes to the trial balance as of September 30th of last year. Assuming that that is the case, we're probably looking at about $135,000 in additional expenses. And you're probably, if property values, if there's not a big variation in property values or assessed values and there's a small growth, we could probably add another $100,000 to the reserves.
Does impact money have to be, is that a time to spend it or no?
Yes, we have a time. According to the Internal Revenue Service, we had 3 years to encumber the money. And that's what we did right after the project
So
was
where we at with this
designed.
money now? Where we at?
We're paying OAC construction.
No, but the impact fee money that we have now, how much more time we have left in there?
Well, after
No,
the
that's
rest,
it.
this
We've
is
already
reserves.
encumbered 100% of it, with the exception of, I think it's $4,000. Everything was encumbered the moment that we contracted for the wellness center and the restaurants,
the 2 bathrooms.
with the 2 bathrooms. Because we were gonna get grant money, but the bulk of the money was coming from impact fees anyways. So you either take an aggressive route and look at the possibility of a loan and get everything you want done or recommended to the commission, or you prioritize your projects and we get lucky with another grant cycle, we just have to wait another year before we move forward.
The only thing is, even with that 350 number, that's not factoring in the lights for the tennis courts or the basketball courts.
Correct.
So it's gonna be much
Correct.
higher than that if we try to do all the lights.
Correct.
So, one option, resurface the tennis courts as we've been talking about, or pickleball. Another option, put that aside, do the lights. Option 3, don't do anything, save for rainy day till someday. Or
It's
option 4, get a loan for
Everything.
Another question.
piece of it or all of
on
it.
On the tennis court now, if we do the tennis court that we wanted to do it, do you have to realign the lights in there too now? Because now the tennis court's gonna be moved over. It's gonna be enough light for all the
How bright is the
amenities there.
tennis courts? Pretty good? The light on the tennis
Yeah,
court?
but it's, yeah, okay, John.
Sí, un Feliciano.
¿No comprende? ¿No comprende?
No piggy panes.
No, you would need additional light.
See?
So is that factored into that 90,000 or no?
No.
So,
That's just,
so that's it's gonna cost us more no matter what.
that's just the courts.
Yeah. And no one uses the tennis courts in the middle of the day right now.
Yeah.
Well, I guess on the weekends, but for the most part, people are gonna be playing at this
goes
time.
in there about what, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock?
What?
The instructor?
Like 3:30.
You there?
And that hit right there.
And the summer camps, yeah, summer camps
It
coming
is.
up now. That's another thing, we're gonna have summer camp and,
Right,
a
although
couple
the
months.
area is
yeah, it's already blocked off, so.
blocked
it'll be-
off, it's gonna be
If
okay.
anything, now would technically be the time to do it, just,
Yeah, I mean,
the kids can't access it at the moment,
I
like
mean,
easily.
you can take, baby steps and do a portion of the work now and see what your numbers are gonna be come October 1st, your new budget, once it's approved. And we have some bottom line numbers here. Although the projection should be in by July of this year, we'll know exactly. We're gonna be very, very close from having a budget that the commission is ready to look at and approve during the month of September. And if that's the case, I mean, then you can see how we close out where we're at on September 30th of this year, and then escalate the second portion of the project.
So, 2 questions. How long are the bids themselves good? Because we have the lighting, the bid for the lighting as well, or is it just the resurface?
The lighting as well, yeah, the baseball field
So
lighting.
how long are they good for from our procurement?
90 days.
And how long can we make the vendor honor that? But then that 90 days, if we pull the trigger at any time, they have to honor that price?
Yes.
Oh, they would,
I
yes,
mean,
they
they
have
can't
to
charge
stay.
more, but can they just say, no, we
No,
we
no,
can't."
they
can,
have
they
to,
can do that
they
too.
have to maintain that price for the period, that
For
window of
90
90 days.
Okay.
Right.
Because,
They can always say, I can't do it for that price,
Right.
don't do it
Yeah.
for Joe, so
Right.
it's the same thing.
and is there concern about when we delaying this and going back out? Because you said, what, February, March? For either one of these being exceptionally more in terms of pricing? Just because, I mean,
It all depends
costs
what's
or-
happening with, the market for these. I understand that these pickleball courts, they're going up all over Miami-Dade County, very popular in municipal parks. So the vendors are also reaping, they're jacking up their prices because they know that they're going to have the business.
They just had a tournament on ESPN with Andy Roddick and a bunch of old tennis players blowing up.
I think they're all good options, honestly. Either way, you're looking after the citizens. You're either giving them what they want or being responsible with their money, so. Somebody say A,
One,
B, or C, or D.
the lighting at the tennis court, when was that done? Back in the 80s?
Same time.
Same time.
So that means if we resurface those courts and they have to come back and redo the lights, maybe we have to do a new trenches to run the new cables and new piping on conduits. Because that must be in poor conditions. That's another thing you have to keep in mind.
Yeah, no, it
We
would
do
be,
the resurface and then they have to go back and break that again to redo it.
no, that would be boring. Like we did the basketball courts.
Okay.
Because the basketball courts all have new wiring because we did it back several years ago.
Yeah, I know. I remember when it was done, yeah.
But, at this point, since the contractor is actually using the area where the pickleball courts would go, the best thing to go with at this point will be the ball field lights. Because he ain't gonna finish,
How long are they gonna be there working?
considering he just got the
September.
permit. I would say another 6 months, that leaves you in
Yeah, so it's
October.
kind of, to have somebody come in to work on the courts and whatnot, it's gonna be a,
No,
cluster.
They can't work with him there.
So
No,
they
you
would have
can't.
to wait.
It's too much.
so that kinda makes
Yeah.
that decision easier.
So-
And then there's the issue of, we don't wanna resurface tennis courts and have them
Come back and.
come back and have to dig
just-
anything
or
up.
cut it through the. Because they say you're gonna need lighting, you need to readjust the lights or realign the
The
lights.
point of the lighting is a great point too, because you don't want to do a pickleball court and then now have to retrofit it with lighting. You
Or
want
have no lights where you're playing.
Or have, yeah, have the wrong light,
Especially
right?
us, we need a lot of light, don't we?
I got a lot of light.
And we do have to take into consideration, consider it a project or not, we did demolish the
The
racquetball. So you're changing the look of the
Yeah.
park slowly but surely. We replaced the playground equipment, whether we get reimbursed or not from the grant, it's an upgrade. And the wellness center in it of itself, it's huge, it's something
Yeah, the
that
citizens are
we're
visibly
rolling out
getting
every,
stuff.
yes,
Is there
yes.
actually a possibility of getting reimbursed for the playground still?
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
okay,
I
so that's
can't.
a Hail Mary.
That's a Hail
maybe,
Mary, and
yeah.
I'm gonna try to pray really hard and
Yeah,
talk
okay.
to these people until they're blue in the face and.
Yeah, no, but we already spent the money, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, if we have to
We
bite
hold
the bullet,
off and
we
try to
bite the
hit it
bullet.
out of the park with further up next time around.
That's
I guess.
another thing, that $86,000, if we are not going to be reimbursed for half of it, that's half of it that we are depleting already from this year's reserves.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
For
For
us,
cities,
it's a lot of
for cities,
money.
it's a lot of money, yes.
And we said the loan more or less, I mean, obviously, we
A
have to ask the
loan for
bank is
10 years,
35.
I mean, you take $350,000, you divide it
rather not
into
get
10
it.
years, you're talking
Right.
$35,000 a year,
Or
you
for
have to
Walmart,
factor
we
in
don't have
interest
interest,
rates.
Yeah, no.
And right now,
are
interest
ridiculous.
rates are crazy.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
I look at all the,
On top of the fact, I mean, what actual new revenue streams do we have? Nothing really.
Substantial?
No, no,
Uh,
no
So we're
new
getting
revenue
into yet
stream.
another loan, you know what I mean?
The wellness center will generate some money, but that's gonna be a slow
That's-
start, if
yeah.
that, you know.
And it's-
we don't
That's
know,
a-
we don't know.
We
don't know.
Mine
It's a new
might not.
business
Cover
startup.
your
Your
yeah.
expenses to operate.
Yeah,
We don't know.
just covering expenses is the goal there.
We're gonna make a killing, but
Yeah.
You're not even
losing
gonna
money, we
cover
don't know.
expenses.
No, but I'm saying, that's all it's going.
So the perception is, we got a brand new weight room going up, the racquetball court's down, they got a new play area for the kids. The rest of it has to wait, I guess.
I have one idea that I have, a commissioner, it's maybe, once the wellness center is finished, maybe where the racquetball court used to be, we can make a small pickleball court there.
Well,
That
that's
might be
where-
a lot cheaper, and,
That's where they go.
where the racquetball is?
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna go to with the tennis court.
No,
With the
it goes
original-
there
It goes
and
there.
outside.
Oh,
Oh,
and
there's
outside
two.
too.
Oh,
Oh, I didn't know they were
that.
gonna put one, I didn't know that.
Well, so we can do the outside
The
one,
outside one, and then we
that's
have.
not affected by anything.
Right,
Leave the
no
tennis
lighting.
courts be.
yeah.
That'll be a second phase.
We can apply for a grant to redo them.
This is a lot less money we're spending.
La
50,000.
Lusa y después do
Yeah.
the one that we were talking
There's
about.
no
And
lighting
then-
where the.
No,
We know this.
I
I think that was
Phone on
discussed,
Nintendo,
but I think
No, I'm not
ultimately,
that tall.
I think that was discussed, but ultimately we decided on the 2 tennis courts with the 2 pickleball.
Right, but,
So I don't know if we talked about having one outside too.
yeah, it all goes outside. That same plan has it going outside.
All right, well, the horse is dead.
Yeah.
We
Beat
know
it to
because we
death.
beat the hell out of it. It hasn't moved.
Not much left.
The worst lighting in the reg is the baseball field.
Yeah.
Just because they're so high, those bulbs just start to like kind of, and they go, it's not that the lights are actually bad, it's they go out a lot.
The fixtures.
Yeah.
Some
So
of the
then
fixtures,
tennis,
some of
it's
them they're
not
not
as
working because the fixture is
bad.
it's bad. You
You
can't
don't
replace the whole
notice the
fixture.
darkness,
And
but
that
in
you don't
the
need to
baseball
replace those.
field,
I
if
mean,
you drive
it's
by
a
there
waste of
at
money.
You notice the
One with
darkness.
the
You
pro-
can't also
the,
take out all the lights at the same time. 'cause
I know
they
you
go
got
far.
3 different
Big
prices. The
far.
price are you
No
gonna
fun.
replace the poles behind the
That's a 258.
that will be that's the one with that you find we're going with that one, right? Replace the 2 poles
No,
behind the
that-
home
Which
plate.
is option 1.
10 till.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that should.
When would the next meeting be, Madam Manager? So I'm wondering if we table this until then.
I think
Because-
you have your comp plan coming up, and
Right.
we are under a very tight deadline as well, June 30th of this year. We
Which
have
way
to
you leaning?
finish. I would take a
Which
a
project, the
rest
lights?
here.
No,
Anything
which-
with the lights.
What's your feeling? Which way are you leaning here?
Anywhere with the lights.
No, it's the only my problem.
Do
with
something or hold off?
I'd rather hold up the money. I mean,
Okay.
if you have.
Even if it's for the pickleball, like, I don't think that.
No, I don't
that
disagree with you. I'm
we'll
just
go with a
Yeah.
different option.
trying to get a feel for the
The
consensus.
problem with the lighting at the
See what the
field, at the
options
baseball
are.
field, they keep going out, they burn out, and then the fixture is so old, you can't even if you
I
replace
just
the
think
light bulb,
So,
with what's going on over there, you can't really do the resurfacing.
you can't.
And even if we did, we'd probably need new lighting. They're gonna end up cutting into that thing. We don't wanna do that.
Exactly.
So let the weight room get done, and at some point, we
And
get
we
the
get-
lights all done, and then we resurface them.
So-
and in the
so-
meantime, we wait for the grant announcements from FERDAP again,
Yeah.
and see where we can find other partners. I mean, short of applying for these grants, I don't
The
know
grants
any
only
other.
2 grants we get, right? 50,000 and 100,000.
50 and 200,000.
200,000.
And if
If
we,
we, if
If we get it.
If we get
And it
approved.
may behoove us to have the money in reserve so we can, so the city can say, okay, yes, use 200 from
So
reserve.
right now, we have all
so
the
you-
drawings,
to
all the
match the
plans that we
grant.
need for all the
and,
projects, so
what's,
that's there.
what's the next grant cycle?
August 12th to September 12th.
So the
It's a
soonest the
small
project
window.
would be finished 2 years after that, right? If it were to be approved.
Right.
No, it
Yes.
would be funded for the following.
For the
year.
following
be
year. You're talking
funded
about-
for
it's
July
two
But it
1.
years.
takes a whole year.
It's 2
It takes
years.
a whole year to put together the commencement package and start to, check off all the boxes that they
So
give you.
2025, 2026.
Exactly.
Is what we're
Exactly.
looking at,
Correct.
finish date if we
Correct.
were to.
So set your
On
alarm
the,
clock.
on the money, yes.
So let's do a vote real quick. All in favor of doing the pickleball courts right now, say aye. All opposed, nay?
Nay.
So that's done, no pickleball courts. So all in favor now of waiting for the next grant cycle to then move forward with these projects, potentially. Say aye.
Aye.
So then we'll just defer this until then.
Right, and I would recommend that we take a brief break with the Recreation Advisory Board only because we're going to have to tackle the comp plan, year-based amendments,
So until
and
June,
property rights elements immediately.
that's until June.
Because we have a deadline of June 30th, and we need the commission to participate in public workshops and public hearings to comply with the statute.
Yeah, really, that was our last big
Well,
project.
so then, going along
We
with
can
that,
reconvene.
we can reconvene after that, but we do have to, we already voted on the next item, ma'am, if you can move along with that, the, item B.
Follow-up recommendation to solicit bids for wellness center, gym equipment.
So we already voted in the last meeting to go with the used/refurbished, right? That it was
Yes,
gonna, it was gonna
yes.
come along with a warranty for
Yes.
5
Right.
years?
For 5 years.
Okay, so with that being said, then we can bring this to the commission, so we can now
Right.
send that out for bid.
Exactly.
And once we do that, then we can reconvene after June, because we have
After-
no other pressing items.
Right, and then we can actually, you can have you can schedule a meeting before you award the bids so that we can go over the bids with the committee, you know. But in the meantime, I would ask you to redirect our attention to the comp plan,
Okay.
because that's critical.
So,
Well, you could invite them, because we need public participation.
There you go, to the public
Have 'em show up.
participation meeting for the comp plan, there you go.
What's the comp plan?
And the city's comprehensive plan is our master plan. It's the vision that the commission establishes for the next 5 years.
It includes the
And
parks.
it includes the parks, it includes everything that is going on at the
What's
parks.
the 5, so 23 or 24?
I'm sorry?
When's the start year of the next 5-year plan?
we're already,
We,
No, it's actually a 10-year.
it's, the year-based amendment is the 5, and the comp plan is a 10-year plan. The year allows you to review what you have done to see if you're on the path to meeting your 10-year goal. And that happens every 5 years. And there's a new element that was adopted by Florida law last year, which is the property rights elements that has to be included in the comp plan and year-based amendments. It's a statutory requirement.
I have a comment, nothing to do with statutory or anything. The hours of the weight room, and this is something I would like you guys to think about, because you guys are the ones that go, but this affects the whole way the rec functions.
And the budget.
One, it's just, when are we allowing, well, what time do we open also? And are we gonna allow people into the rec while the kids are, because right now we don't. I personally think it's very difficult to just keep people in the weight room. Hey, you can go to the weight room, you can't shoot a basket. Right now, there's no adults allowed in the rec center during summer camp or after school. If you bring your grandson, you can go, you're going to the playground, but an adult on their own cannot just come into the rec and frolic around or do whatever.
go jogging around the park, or,
You're right.
I have a question to that. Does the project contemplate any possibility to physically separate the entrance to the wellness center during the times that the kids are not there?
Only entrances are through the rec building
you just walk
and
right
through
in.
the front of the, and through the park. So no matter
Well,
what,
there's that side entrance.
there's an entrance, you have to go through the park, there's nothing on the back.
Yeah, there is.
An entrance?
You're talking
Yeah,
about
there's
doors,
there's a
There's a
door.
driveway.
the 62nd Avenue?
It's on,
Well,
Yeah.
Again, that's hiring another person to stand
Right.
at that door.
Right,
But to
Not
get
that
into
gate.
the park,
Yeah, because you
it's
also
through the
have,
front door of the
Correct.
Rebecca Sosa Center.
correct.
And then,
two entrances are
and
there.
then from there, you can go to the park, or you can go
Through the
into the
building.
building.
Right.
Both lead to the wing.
But if for the weight room, you gated that off and made everybody go through the building,
But you have to stop that, because
Yeah.
I have to watch
And then they can
anybody who
still get
walks
out.
through that gate.
they can still go out to the park through the glass doors where the bathroom ramp
Exactly.
is
You
too.
go back out there too.
So the times for the students, obviously school year, and then
It's till
summer.
6 o'clock.
What-
Casanova goes right now, at 6 o'clock, he goes to the weight room,
From what time till 6 o'clock?
till 9 o'clock.
So from 6 to 9,
tonight. Ideally,
No, from 9 to 6.
or 9 to 6, and then in the
9 to 6.
summers, it's,
In the summers, it's
How does
from
it-
7:30 to 6
7:30
p.m.
to 6.
yeah, it's gonna be,
that's what I've been thinking about the whole time, because essentially, if this was finished during the summer, there's gonna be this craze of people showing up to the park, and there's 200 kids at the park.
right now, there's that exit on 62nd Avenue, I guess it's an emergency exit.
That
For the
doesn't
building.
connect to the back.
But I think it would be the cheapest option and the most coherent to just finish the path to the back and give it
Yeah, but-
access to the.
But still, what happened, once you get in the weight room,
You
you
can
can still
still
go
come
through the glass doors and go outside into
Well, if
into the-
someone's manning the weight room,
Yeah, but-
they would be in charge of that.
Yeah, but you-
like, know?
You don't wanna do that, you wanna be able to jog around and warm
Yeah,
up.
it's-
Yeah,
so-
if people are gonna feel constraints
Yeah.
there,
I mean,
or,
if I want to
or
run around and
limited-
jog around the baseball
or
field.
limited
once
in
I
some
finish
fashion,
exercising.
they're not gonna come back.
Casanova goes and walks around for 2 hours and works out for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
I think they're watching you.
Yeah, I know.
They gotta schedule
I want him to see if he's happy or not. I know he's
Yeah.
okay.
I think he has.
Keep an eye on me. And,
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying that.
It's 'cause it's daytime,
Am I
it's
your
night,
poster
he's looking at
child?
the lights and he's
Hey,
yeah.
You let people
Fixated
into
on
the
the
park,
lights.
and
He's
then they
happy
have all
Fitbit.
these rights, how an area has, people, people are gonna push the limits of that.
No, they will.
And to me, it's either yes or no, and that's what's easier, because to make exceptions for here and there, there's loopholes to things. It's worked very easy, it wasn't my idea, it's what I inherited. It works very well to just, listen, unless you're going to the playground or to shoot baskets with your son, the park is closed to the public. You can go do anything you wanna do at Cooper Park. Any of that stuff you wanna do, walk around, do whatever, so.
You know,
This is
the-
something that I think needs to be spoken about before,
Yes.
we speak a lot about the money and the
Something has to be,
project.
yeah, that's
There's
very
a-
important.
What
there's
is
a
it-
whole function to this that needs to be,
The times again during the school year are what?
we're open from 1, the kids get there at 1:45. We open at 1.
Until
The kids are there
Till
till
6.
6.
6.
6 are already, at 5:45 they're in the building, because at that time, we anticipate the influx of the outdoors. People from the outside come in and they go use the baskets.
So after 6, what time's the park close?
9
Nine.
right now.
So 6 to 9, you can go do whatever you want. And up till
And
1,
7
do whatever
till-
you want.
7 till 1.
In
6 till
between,
9.
there's restrictions for adults.
Yeah, yeah.
But then the
I-
summers is the issue, because the summers is all day.
Summers
No, but
are
that's
open.
the summer hours, right?
No,
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 it's
no.
school year.
Summers will open at 7:30 and we close at 6.
That's because somebody has complaints. When someone cities, any neighbor complain about, I want to be in that park at 9 o'clock and money should be allowed to go in there. So that's,
Yeah.
that's a big old,
You know what's ironic is he's watched you work out for 3
I
hours
know,
a
I
night,
didn't-
6 nights a
I
week.
know.
All these years and
I didn't
hasn't
get it.
lost a pound. That's killing
Well,
me.
either way, what we'll do is we'll discuss the times and stuff in a
So
later
it's just-
meeting.
We focus a lot about this and then it's just, there's a
No,
whole
that's a good
function
point.
of it that needs to be.
That's a good point.
We'll focus on that at a later meeting. It's a great point though. We have to come up, and that's what a lot of the questions are from the residents, is the park gonna be open
I don't think you'll have
different
a
hours?
problem with it, and anybody that doesn't understand that in the summer, in my opinion, is just like,
Kids are the priority.
yeah, there's, the whole facility is for the kids, there's weight room, there's equipment at Cooper, you can work out at Cooper. But I think that also goes into what you charge somebody, because if we're gonna be
They won't be able to
closed
use the summer. yeah.
for so many hours or X amount of hours,
You gotta develop standard operating procedures.
Yes.
Or
see, I don't even know words like that, that was good.
And the
Thank
thing
you,
is, during the
Mark.
summer, during the
3
summer,
letters.
people are trying to get their abs all right, John?
Yeah, I've been trying for 39 years.
3
I
letters.
just keep eating the hot dogs like Brandon.
You don't even have to spell out SOP.
Yeah.
Commission have a question, so we're gonna defer the money for the lighting for, we're not gonna do it right now.
That's what
gonna
we
be stopped.
voted on, yeah, to wait for the next grant cycle.
Okay, so I have a question, then I have a concern now. Are we gonna keep those lights working all the time? Cause not, well, like I say, the backlights been on for 2 weeks now, 24 hours 7, they haven't been fixed.
Well, you'd
There's
rather
a
them
break,
be off?
there's a break where you turn the lights on, that keeps tripping out because it's too hot. So if you're gonna keep those lights, you need to bring an electrical company in and do a maintenance on those lights, make sure they continue to work there. But we're not gonna replace it tomorrow, it's gonna be at least 2 days before you replace the
How
lights.
long have the issues been occurring there?
It's been a while.
What's a while?
Years.
So that's what I'm saying, so
Since I worked
it's, we've been putting
No,
batteries
no,
out for
it's
years,
been
so-
years.
It's
The break, it's been
progressively-
happening like 6 months
It's
now.
progressively getting worse.
And it gets worse and worse and worse, and you lose the lights up there, you can't replace it because the fixture is no longer
Has the
good.
company done the assessment yet or not yet? An electrical company that can come out and give you an assessment of what it will take to bring it up to the standards that we need until we can take the next step?
We could, no, what we have done is we've designed a main panel for the baseball field. You know, we've replaced the existing panel, which is the problem. Because we can't get parts for what's there now.
and that's the panel by the little shed.
Correct.
Well, them breaking will force our hand.
So we will
Yeah.
we will put one just like the one we have now at Cooper Park. The stainless steel cabinet with everything inside of it.
We're hoping that we get to the next grant cycle and we can get.
No, you're
the
not gonna,
grant.
well,
We're hoping
I hope
that.
you do,
We're hoping that,
Commissioner,
but
I hope so.
if there's an issue with the lights before that, obviously we need functioning lights at the park. It's an active rec center.
Correct.
Then we'd have to revisit other options, potentially a loan. But
Well,
we're
the
hoping
good news
to get
is,
to that.
there's another 110,000 in reserves now to
Right.
fix them.
And the good news is that there is an option of getting a loan if need be, so.
Are we gonna do anything to those lights now? Just leave it the way it is, and when they break down, we just fix them? You try to go in there and
We're gonna
and
have
do
to
a
service
maintenance
them.
on it and do a service on it
That's-
before it
yeah,
breaks
that's
down?
what we just-
Replace the panel like Juan saying just by itself, so there's an improvement there, and it's there for the future. So I mean, you're gonna use the same panel for the future.
Yeah, the maintenance and servicing of it is gonna be going on until
Another concern that
they
I have,
ultimately
another
fail.
concern that I have, the field is very deteriorated. The infield, the grass area is very deteriorated, so I haven't been kept up to it. Not only you playing baseball there, which doesn't too bad, now you're playing soccer on top of that grass, and you got holes everywhere on the field. Some area they got sand, and when you put sand, no grass is gonna grow there. So some area, it's in real bad, the outfield is very in bad shape.
When we go
Are we
for,
gonna do any maintenance, plan to do any maintenance on that? Maintenance something on that to keep it up to date or in better conditions?
It's been a while since we did the leveling of the field and the resodding and clay.
Yes.
Has a lot of action.
But, yeah, it does. It takes a beating every day, so we're going to have to put money in the budget to.
But it's not getting,
maintain
it's
it.
worse. I mean, it's in bad shape. The holes out there. You gotta test without Mandy. Don't be afraid to talk. You can talk. They're not gonna put you in jail, Mandy. So-
Christina has a comment.
Thanks. I have a couple ideas for like adding revenue streams, like for the new wellness center. If we can use like, you know, allow maybe like coaches or trainers, like local small businesses to actually like rent out the space and, you know, charge like to host classes, like whether it's yoga or bar or Pilates, like all those classes
We are
cost a
open to
lot.
that. We are
Yeah.
open to that. The main building, the Rebecca Sosa building, that people rent it from time to time.
Okay,
The issue is we have kids there until 6 p.m.
right.
and then it would give someone a window to come in until 9. I've talked to John about that. It's easier said than done because we require high levels of insurance coverages because of liability, but we do get rentals, and the
Okay.
rental for that facility itself, from all the parties on weekends and everything, it goes into the recreation center revenue funds.
Okay.
So we do, everything that we derive from rental purposes comes in as a revenue to the fund.
Got it. And then like in the new area, like where there'll be like the yoga room, right? Maybe like having it as like a multi-purpose space where there's like mirrors that you could use for like a dance, like
Right.
Zumba or those types of classes.
Right.
So
Right.
it's designated as more. And then another idea for a revenue stream I had thought of was when it's all open and when we do like a grand opening, maybe associating it with like a health fair. Maybe doing like a 5K around West Miami where, you know, whenever you do a race of any
Sure.
kind, right, you always have to pay. So, you know, keep it minimal, but at least gain some revenue from people wanting to participate and all of that for, you know, a 5K
Right.
or 10K if that's, you know, possible. But, yeah.
Right, interesting.
Sounds good. Thank you, Christina.
And Ronnie.
All right, so the time is 7:04. Is there any other discussion? So next item. Madam
I
Clerk?
think that we covered already, good of the order, item 7
Anybody for good of the order? Next item.
and item 8, adjournment.
Any motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Meeting adjourned.
Second.
It's
Yeah, thank you.